Level 1. The dishwasher. You are 19. Your hands smell like bleach and egg yolk, and the chef just threw a Lexan pan across the pass because you are 30 seconds behind on a Friday night at a restaurant your family could not afford to eat at. This is not an accident. Your parents ran a diner on this block for 11 years. Marcus opened one of his restaurants across the street, and yours closed 8 months after that. You got a job here because it was the only kitchen hiring, and because watching something close teaches you more about what keeps a restaurant open than anything you could find in a culinary program. There is a recipe card in your apron pocket, your mother's handwriting. 3 ingredients she never measured. You do not look at it during service. You are going to take everything Marcus built, not tonight. But the timeline started tonight. Level 2. The line cook. By the 3rd month you are off the dish pit and on the line. Nobody made an announcement. The sous chef handed you a knife roll and said Station 4, and that was the whole promotion. The kitchen runs on the brigade system, chef at the top, sous chef below. Line cooks in a hierarchy that is informal and absolute and enforced primarily through who gets yelled at in front of whom. You are at the bottom of this structure. You will stay there longer than you expect. The position teaches by cost. How to move in a tight space at high speed, how to read a ticket in 4 seconds, how to hold your mise en place when the expediter is calling orders faster than the kitchen can absorb. You burn your forearm on the sauté pan in the first week. By the end of the year, you have 5 small scars. Your body has been keeping a progress report you did not ask for. 68 hours a week at $13 an hour. After rent and food and the phone bill, your account ends most months approximately where it started. This is technically not losing money. In this industry, that distinction matters. The recipe card lives in your knife roll now. Your mother made that dish every Sunday for 11 years at the diner. You have not cooked it here or anywhere. The kitchen you are in runs French technique and would have no use for it. You have memorized it anyway. You could make it in the dark. Marcus's group is expanding. A second location in the neighborhood, covered in eater with the kind of opening week profile that implies his success was always inevitable. The review calls it a natural extension of a vision. You read this at 2 a.m. in the parking lot after close. You note the word natural. Something is happening though. You are getting better, not loudly. This kitchen doesn't hand out compliments the way other places do. Which means when the expediter says good twice in one service, you will remember where you were standing. You will still remember it 4 years from now. Your station is clean at the end of every service. The expediter notices. One night after close, she writes a name on a receipt and hands it to you a kitchen across town. She says, look into staging there. You take the receipt home. You will not sleep much in the year that follows. You will be able to afford that. Your bank account holds $340 at the end of the month. You do not show this number to anyone. Level 3. The sous chef. The staging led to a job offer, and the job offer led to here. Sous chef at a 36-seat restaurant in a neighborhood. The food press has just started to notice. You have learned something in 8 months that nobody states directly. Running a kitchen and cooking in one are not the same discipline. They share tools. They share almost no instincts. The business education comes sideways. You learn prime cost before anyone explains the term, from the weekly numbers arriving against what you spent on food and labor. From understanding, slowly, that 30% food cost is not a suggestion. It is the minimum viable condition for the operation. You are buying 2 proteins from the Cisco account because the local purveyor charges more than the current margin can support. You know this is a compromise. You feel it every time those proteins hit the pan. The gap has opened between what you cook and how often you cook it. You are a better cook than you were a year ago. You cook less than you did a year ago. This is the promotion in action. Your partner is trying to understand what the kitchen costs, not the money. The schedule, the midnight returns, the way you talk about work for 20 minutes before falling asleep and then stop mid-sentence. They are generous about this for longer than is reasonable to ask. The kitchen doesn't speak a language that transfers well out of it. You know this. You cannot fix it. Marcus's 3rd location opens and food and wine covers it. He is photographed at the bar in a tailored jacket. He does not look like someone who has spent a decade burning himself on the line. He looks like someone who has spent a decade eating at the restaurants he owns. Both of these things are true. One of them is the thing you are building toward, and you know already it is not the jacket. The executive chef position at this restaurant is yours. The offer came on a Tuesday in January, and you said yes before the sentence finished. You recognized it for what it was, and also for what it was not. A path to ownership. Running a kitchen well tells you if you can handle the craft at scale. It does not tell you if you can survive signing for the whole thing. You start walking through empty storefronts on your days off, doing math in your head, writing nothing down. $52,000 a year, $9,000 in savings. Not enough, not close. Level 4. The executive chef. The eater mention runs on a Thursday morning. 14 words. Keep an eye on the executive chef at and then the restaurant's name. You screenshot it. You close the app. You open it again 40 seconds later. Local recognition follows. The Alt Weekly gives you a 9 out of 10 and calls the menu technically rigorous without being cold. You are in conversations now with people who talk about food the way you used to only think about it. This feels like arrival. It is not yet arrival. It is the moment right before the next problem becomes legible. The problem is the owner. He is not incompetent. He simply has a different understanding of what the restaurant is for. He buys proteins from the Cisco account because the per-pound cost is lower, which is technically correct, and which is quietly destroying the dish you built around a sourcing relationship you spent 3 months establishing. Food cost is running at 32%. You need it under 30. The difference is roughly 20% of your operating margin. The owner believes this is your problem to solve by redesigning the dish. You believe this is a capitalization problem that starts above the line of the kitchen. Both of you are right, and neither of you says it clearly enough for anything to change. Marcus wins the Best New Restaurant award from the city's dining guide. You were nominated. You find out from Instagram at 11 p.m., standing in the walk-in before service. The compressor hums. You go back to the line. Your parents come to dinner. Your father orders the pasta with the braised short rib. It is a dish you wrote from memory, not from a recipe, from a feeling about something your mother made at the diner on Sunday nights, adapted for a restaurant kitchen and a French technique base. He eats it. He does not comment on the connection. He tips $40 on a $62 check. You watch this from the pass. You do not bring the recipe card out from the knife roll. 2 weeks later, a real estate contact tells you about a space. 2,000 square feet. The neighborhood you have been watching for 6 months. The build-out estimate is $280,000. The lease is $9,000 a month. You have $6,800 in your personal account. The math does not work. You ask for the landlord's information anyway. $68,000 a year. $6,800 in savings. The space is still available. Level 5. The owner. You signed the lease on a Wednesday afternoon in a lawyer's office. The lawyer was $70 cheaper per hour than the first one you called, and this turns out to be the first of many decisions made by subtracting instead of multiplying. The build-out. $280,000 through an SBA loan at prime plus 2%. The contractor goes $40,000 over. The opening is delayed 6 weeks. You are paying rent on an empty space with a crew inside it. You open on a Tuesday in October with no reservation system, 2 servers you trained yourself, and a menu you designed on a laptop in the back of a car on the way to a vendor meeting. First service. 11 covers. You go home and revise the menu. There is a version of ownership nobody describes in advance. You are the HR department. You are the health inspection compliance person and the person who drives to the restaurant, supply warehouse at 6 a.m. on a Saturday when the walk-in compressor fails, which it will, before your first month ends, because walk-in compressors choose their timing the way all equipment chooses its timing. At the worst possible moment, with maximum commitment. You are also still the chef. Some days the chef is the smallest part of the job. Marcus opens 3 blocks away. Better funded, better PR. His name on the awning in a typeface you almost used before you went in a different direction. Eater covers his opening with a 700-word profile. Yours got 11 words in a roundup. One of them was promising. The first real review arrives 6 weeks in. Promising, with technical skill that occasionally outpaces the room. You read it 10 times. Promising is what critics write when they liked it enough not to dismiss it and not enough to recommend it. This is a passing grade in a system where the average restaurant does not see its 3rd year. The recipe card goes above the prep station on opening day. Your cooks think it is a recipe used here. You do not correct them. Then the kitchen fire. 3rd month. $14,000 in equipment, partial insurance coverage. You are doing the math every Sunday night and it does not resolve. A good quarter follows. Then an investor calls with an offer that sounds like rescue. You schedule the meeting for Thursday. The SBA loan balance, $262,000. You have not paid yourself since October. Level 6. the expanding owner. The second location was the proof you needed. The first location was servicing its debt. The investor said the concept scaled. The numbers supported the move. The alternative was staying still in a business where staying still is indistinguishable from going backward. And backward was not an option you were willing to consider. You now understand that everything in this industry costs more than the estimate. This is not a design flaw. It is the industry. Every build-out overruns. Every opening delay is longer than quoted. The second location opens 4 months after the planned date and $46,000 over budget. You are managing 2 kitchens you have not cooked in. You have not cooked a full service in either location in 6 weeks. You tell yourself this is temporary. The investor has a seat at the table in a way that has become less metaphorical over time. He uses unit economics at every conversation, meaning something slightly different by it each time, which would concern you more if you had the bandwidth. You do not have that kind of bandwidth. This was not in the term sheet. The relationship ends on a Tuesday afternoon. Not dramatically, because you missed 3 consecutive important things and the other person had stopped expecting you not to. You do not argue. You understand too completely. The understanding is the part that stays. Marcus wins a Michelin bib gourmand. His PR firm sends a press release. You see it from the back office of location 2 at midnight, running the close reports. The bib gourmand is the guide's way of saying consistently excellent without committing to the next word. Everyone who has worked in a serious kitchen understands what getting the bib before the star means. You sit with that for a moment. Then you go back to the numbers. The delivery app aggregators are taking 28% of every delivery order. This was in the contract you signed. You did not read the contract carefully enough. Nobody in the restaurant industry reads the aggregator contracts carefully enough, which the aggregators have fully accounted for. The investor calls. The second location needs to reach profitability in 90 days. You do the math. You tell him you understand, and that you will make it work. One of these statements is true. Location 1, $24,000 net for the year. Location 2, negative $8,000 a month. Your personal salary for the last 4 months, 0. Level 7, the group operator. By the time you have 4 restaurants, you have a Monday staff meeting at 9 a.m. with a CFO named Brian, who sends a weekly profit and loss summary and investor calls scheduled for the first Thursday of every month. You attend all of them. You have not designed a menu in 14 months. The food has drifted. Someone tells you the red sauce at location 3 doesn't taste like it used to. You know before they finish the sentence because you ate there last month and felt the absence of something you put there originally and have not touched since. Recipe drift in a multi-unit operation is physics. Every week the original hands are not in the kitchen. The dish becomes someone else's understanding of your intention. Your team is better than you at the individual components. The general manager is better at scheduling. Brian is better at the numbers. The executive chef at location 1 cooks better than you do right now because she cooks every night. You built something that outgrew you. This is what success looks like from the inside, and from the inside it looks remarkably like being left behind. Marcus has 6 restaurants, a television development deal, and a cookbook pre-order on his website. His brand has expanded to the point where it is explainable at a dinner party by someone who has never eaten his food. The food at his restaurants is fine. Food and Wine puts your group in a feature on the new class of restaurant operators. The profile photo has you in a chef's coat. You wore it for the shoot. You did not cook anything while wearing it. This is more common than the magazine implies. The James Beard semi-finalist announcement arrives in March. Not a finalist. Not a winner. A semi-finalist. Your publicist sends a press release. The industry treats it like a coronation emails. Congratulations. Interview requests. You sit with it for 3 days before you can name what you are feeling. What you are feeling is the absence of the feeling you expected. That distinction matters and you have no one to say it to. A private equity firm makes an exploratory call. The number they describe is large enough that you write it on a piece of paper, fold it, and put it in a drawer. You open the drawer 6 times in the following week. Your executive chef at location 1 tells you she is leaving to open her own place. You listen. You recognize everything she says. You do not tell her this. You wish her well. You sit with it for the length of time it takes to understand what recognizing her so clearly costs you. Group valued at $4.2 million on paper. Total debt, $2.1 million. Monthly take-home, $6,800. Level 8. The award nominee. The James Beard nomination, not semi-finalist. The full nomination arrives on a Thursday morning while you are in a budget meeting with Brian and two investors who have been asking the same three questions in different order for 45 minutes. What the nomination means in practice. Your publicist sends a press release, a national magazine requests a profile. A speaking slot arrives at a major food conference, and 12 new partnership inquiries hit your inbox by Friday afternoon. The machinery of recognition is efficient. It already knows what to do with the word nominated before you do. The private equity firm upgrades their offer. They want 4 of the 5 locations. You would keep one and serve as culinary director of the group, which is the industry's way of keeping a chef's name attached to a thing after removing the chef from the kitchen. The number is $9.2 million. Marcus's empire has begun to contract. 2 locations have closed without press releases. A third runs a different executive chef than the one announced at opening. The industry has started describing his earlier work in the tense used for things that have already peaked. You notice this and say nothing. You know what that shift feels like from the inside? A national magazine does the profile. Someone else styles the food for the shoot. You are photographed in a chef's coat. You say things about sourcing relationships and the community function of a restaurant that are true, and that you mean, and that you would have said over the diner counter 11 years ago to anyone who asked. The photographer calls you authentic. You do not tell him how that word lands. At 11 p.m. on a Thursday, you sign the private equity term sheet. By 7 the next morning, you have called your lawyer and said, "Do not file it." She asks what changed. You tell her nothing changed. You will not fully explain it. She does not push. You walk through location 1 the following morning. The recipe card is still above the prep station. It has been there for 4 years. You look at it for a long moment and then go sit in the office and think about nothing in particular for 15 minutes, which is the closest you have come to quiet in longer than you can accurately place. The PE firm offered $9.2 million. What you have instead? 5 restaurants, a nomination, and the card above the prep station where it has always been. Level 9. The veteran chef. Tuesday. Nothing on the calendar. No budget meeting, no investor call, no email flagged for same-day response. The first Tuesday like this in longer than you can accurately place. You go to location 1 at 7 in the morning before service because that is the only place you know to go when there is nothing required of you. You watch what happened to the people who came up alongside you. One sold her concept to a hotel group in year 4 and teaches culinary business at a state university now and seems genuinely at peace, which is either the best outcome or the most confusing one, depending on the day. One burned out in the way the industry generates think pieces about the kind of collapse that gets a name and a Substack post and a recovery arc. His name still appears in those pieces. He probably doesn't read them. Marcus is still operating. 3 restaurants now. His name appears in industry rooms occasionally, but no longer as a signal of where things are going, more as a reference point for where they were. The recipe card is above the prep station. Still there after 4 years, slightly yellowed, your mother's handwriting still readable. You take it down. You read it in full for the first time in at least a year. You make the dish. Alone. Before service, before the cooks arrive, before anyone expects anything of you. The same dish from the diner. The red sauce, the 3 ingredients she never measured. You make it from the card and from memory, and it comes out the way it always came out when she made it. Which means you have been carrying this recipe correctly in your body for longer than the restaurant has existed. A new dishwasher comes in at 8, early 20s. Clearly paying attention in the way that is visible if you have paid that kind of attention yourself. You do not say anything. You let them work. You remember what it felt like to be the only person in the building who knew they were going to own something someday. You don't know if they feel that. You are not going to ask. You put the recipe card back above the prep station. The industry gave you something real. A tolerance for uncertainty that most people never develop. A scar vocabulary on your forearms that means you were actually there. The ability to make a decision under pressure and not revisit it in the middle of the night. The industry took things too. You know what they are. You made the trades. $340,000 in the bank, 3 restaurants. The recipe card above the prep station where it has always been. That was always the whole job. If this one stayed with you, like and drop a comment where you're watching from. Subscribe for more.